few made, often very forgotten about, but without it, we would never have this awesome Z06 you see here behind me. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the party, boys and girls, the channel. Yeah, I've been gone for a little bit. Work's been a boner. I have house projects going on. I've been kind of under the weather. No, not COVID. But hopefully that my tempo can pick up on making the videos again. I have a lot of parts between this and the Mini Cooper I need to get going on. Yeah, I thought it'd be fun to dive into the FRC. I still see a lot in forums and Facebook groups, people asking about the FRC, so I thought I would just cover the FRC exclusively today. It is a very interesting little piece of Corvette history, if you will, and I think it'll be fun to dive in and put it under a microscope, if you will. Now, if you're not familiar, the C5 Corvette is a very popular Corvette. You still see a lot of them on the road today. They made roughly 250,000 C5 Corvettes, but of that 250,000, that's a lot of cars. Of those, only 6,000 were the 99 and 2000 FRC, which makes them very rare. And if you're not really a hardcore Corvette enthusiast, it's easy to mistake them for a Z06, and oftentimes people do. The quickest way to note the difference is the brake ducts and the rims, but the rims can be easily swapped out, so I wouldn't put too much stock in that way. But the brake ducts is the quickest way to determine the difference between the FRC and the Z06. In case you're not familiar, the C5 itself almost never came about, and I have a video on that somewhere, but management was like, fine, you can make this damn thing, but you better make 25,000 units or this car is going away. So they introduced the C5 Corvette in '97. They came out in January, so it had a very short first year for production, that is. They made something like 9,000. Dave Hill at the time, the Corvette team lead, had a plan, so he thought he'd do the base coupe, or just a Corvette, if you will, just, you know, what you think of Corvette, and you're gonna have in '98 the convertible, and in '99 they'd introduce a very stripped down bargain Corvette. But with the introduction of Part 2 in '98 with the convertible, they sold over 31,000 Corvettes. So the Corvette team quickly was like, well, maybe we should just make our Part 3 a stupid, crazy performance. And obviously that's what they did. But it took them a couple years to get that together, so you do have 2 years of a very stripped down FRC Corvette, the '99 and 2000, because they already had some in production, so they might as well make some, you know. And if you're not familiar, the FRC codename was Billy Bob. If you ever read the book, All Corvettes Are Red, it explains how that name came to be, and it's just a really good book. I highly recommend reading that book. It has a lot of the stuff I'm talking about right now in that book, so check it out. By '99, the FRC was supposed to have cloth seats, roll down windows, an option with no AC, no HUD, not dual climate control at all if you had AC. Obviously, with the sales of the convertible, it allowed them to put most of their creature comforts in the FRC for '99 and 2000, but it was never supposed to have any of that stuff. It was supposed to be optioned with that stuff, and if you bought it as is for about $35,000, it was going to have nothing. But yeah, like I said, so in '98 when sales boomed, it didn't take them very long to, you know, scratch their head and say, well, this thing's got an awesome platform. And they were like, oh, can we put a more stout LS platform in? And it didn't take the engineers too long to reimagine an LS with 50 more at the time, 40 more horsepower, something from 345 to 385 in '01. And then of course in 2002 we got to 405. But yeah, this thing was already super rigid because it had the fixed roof. It had the Z51 performance package suspension, so handled amazingly. Being a little lighter, you have a perfect platform for an awesome performance Corvette. So it took them a couple years to get the Z06 ironed out, and they borrowed a name from previous Corvettes in history, from the C2 I believe, and there you have it. We got the Z06 from the FRC. Now, if you're curious, or if you own a '99 or 2000 FRC, between the two cars, there's not a lot of differences. They're almost identical for both production years. There are two differences though. In '99 FRC, on the passenger side, there's a little keyhole for your passenger door. In 2000, it got omitted. Kind of like mine here, you can't see it, but yeah, if this was a '99 FRC, there would be a little keyhole right there, but it's not. That's kind of cool. In '99, the FRC only came with the wagon wheels and no HUD option at all. Both are all 6-speed manual. Any FRC platform, Z06 or just base FRC, only came with a 6-speed. But in 2000, you could option the FRC with a HUD and the chrome wheels, the 5-point chrome wheels. So those are the very small differences between the two. Not a lot, but kind of fascinating. Now, given the bones of the FRC, which is pretty much a Z06 at its core, it's not uncommon to see people put the brake ducts on it, give it a more stout motor, and then you pretty much have a Z06. A lot of times people are putting LS3s, LS2s. I haven't seen an LS7 putting it in a FRC. I'm sure it's happened though. If you've seen it, please let me know. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, a lot of times people will make a Z06 because for insurance reasons, you buy an FRC, not only is it cheaper, your insurance is going to be a lot less. So people will take them, put an LS2, LS3, etc., make the appearance look like a Z06, and boom, no one's really the wiser. You change out, the instrument panel and put some embroidery on the seats, and no one would ever know. And honestly, the easiest way to get a Speedway white Z06 would be to buy a FRC white and make it a Z06. But of course the VIN would give it away, but it'd be pretty cool. I've never seen a Speedway white Z06. Now that I'm thinking about it. My favorite color on the Z06. I'd love to have one. Now my personal opinion, this is the opinion right here, is that the FRC kind of launched the Corvette into the high performance trims we know them now. Because if the FRC, or if the C5 went through its natural gestation how they predicted it would, you would have just the Corvette, the sloped roof, you would have the convertible, and then you would have the base model FRC. And if sales followed that trend, it would have went through its entire 8-year run. Introduction to the C6, they would have kept the same formula because it worked. You would have had your C6, your convertible, and then your base model. We never would have saw a Z06 come back, or 01 for that matter. So you can kind of thank the FRC platform back in '99 for the performance variants we have now. And it's just an opinion, but I think the FRC had a huge hand in getting where we are now with this crazy 2019 Z01 and the crazy specs we're going to get on the C8 coming down the pipeline, of course. So yeah, to me, the 99 FRC is kind of a little hero. So in conclusion, yes, the FRC 99 2000, it's a very rare car. I think it probably will be a collectible. I've always preferred, since I was younger in high school, the look of the notchback FRC to the slope Corvette. Nothing wrong with the coupe. And their top comes off. The top doesn't come off on this, and some people really prefer that. But I'll take the rigidity and the cool looks rather than taking the top off. And there are conversions. People can take the tops off of these. It costs a lot of money. It's like $5 grand and up for a kid and someone to do it. But then you're like, why even have an FRC then? You know what I mean? You're losing the essence of what an FRC is supposed to be. But whatever. I mean, again, this is all subjective. But yeah, I just prefer the Z06 FRC look. I think it looks really sharp. It looks a lot more exotic, especially from the side. It looks like a missile. Looks pretty cool. Well, in any case, happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. This is my daughter. Well, before she was born. It looks different now. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this little history lesson, and I'll catch you later this week for a Corvette news. So, mark out.